Call is being recorded.
Go ahead, Natasha.
Hi, everybody. Just wanted to wish everybody a good afternoon. Today is Monday, the 18th of November. Tonight, we're actually going to be talking about the Sharp versus American Bar. Then we're also going to be talking about our debt and foreclosure classes that are coming up on November the 20th and 21st. Just to kind of give you some preludes. If you have any questions about what goes on in that class, please feel free to drop questions down below. Tim can see in that. But first and foremost, I'd like to say this is for entertainment purposes only. I don't want anybody's feelings hurt. To kind of keep it clean, keep it nice. But I do want to hear from you and your questions. If you hear something over here, you hear something over there, please ask, because there's a lot of people out there that give some information that may not be truthful. And that's kind of what we're here for, is for you to come and ask, about that situation and all that. But we also have Carl here tonight. He's going to be one of our guest speakers, and he's going to be talking about the Sharp versus American Bar. Carl, do you have some input on this and kind of what's floating around and going around and being said about it?
Yes, I do. Hey, thanks for having me on the call tonight. I really, yeah. So,
well, you're very...
so anyway, we're the bar. So the bar, what people think the bar is, and it's been really, a hypothesis that. A false hypothesis that the bar is named for British Accreditation Registry. Though those who mistakenly believe this theory thinks that all U.S. attorneys have secretly pledged their allegiance to Britain. No matter where,
so that isn't
no
true,
matter
Carl.
where the theory, it's not true. No, they do not. Please.
No, but that David guy said it was true, and that other guy said it was true. What's his name? That Hauser guy. He said it was true.
Yes.
And then what was that bald-headed guy? That other guy, what was his name? Natasha, help me out. What was his name? The history guy, the one that knew everything about history, and then he died. What was his name? He just died recently. He died like last year. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about Jordan? Jordan?
Yeah, I think it is something Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan Maxwell, that guy. He said it too.
Yeah.
Remember him? He would get on the bandstand and like he would toot the horns and everything about that. So that you're saying he was full of it? Come on,
they're all full of it, because we're going to tell you what the accreditation register stands for tonight. We're gonna touch a little bit on this, and really you're going to see there is absolutely no influence to what these people does and to attorneys. So just to let you know, the bar is nothing more than your, it's just what attorney get. And so if you belong to a union hall, or if you belong to something like that, the bar is simply simply there for attorneys to join. And it's most states have passed laws that allows the bar to be able to write policies and stuff for attorneys' behaviors and judges' behaviors, because judges are typically attorneys. Not all of them are, but typically they are. So they do a lot of stuff for them, for the attorneys and stuff. Now, I will let you know, we're not big.
Like
we're not big on attorneys. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
you're making that sound way too honest over there. Oh yeah, man, they're over there and they're writing all this stuff. And they're just handling it and everything. I'm like, man, you better stop it. No, that's not true. But anyway, good. Well, at least we know it's not true in Texas. That's for sure. We got more cowboys and Indians around here that we don't even know what to do with. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, Carl.
Oh no, yeah, you're good. But yeah, so let's just dig right into this. Let's just dig right into what they're saying. Attorneys really focus on, really get into. And but this is not really what attorneys do. But I'm going to explain to you what the bar bar, BAR, British Accreditation Registry, stands for.
So we got to straighten that out. I mean, Jordan Maxwell had me twisted up for like 10 years for that. Come on
Exactly. So, bear with me for a second.
I'm gonna have to send out apology letters now, and all the attorneys that I've accused of all that stuff, and told them that they, need to walk the plank and everything else. Oh,
Right. So, have you guys ever seen your corporations to where they're certified ISO, you know, 2200, or certifications, or ISO 9001? Most of your computer companies, your larger companies, on the S&P, on the stock market, that's your larger companies, right out of Silicon Valley, some of your bigger companies that does that. They all are accredited through the company called, and this is more so in Britain, not so much here in the U.S. U.S. has got their own. But this is what Britain does, and they do some of the companies here in the U.S. too. But they're just an accreditation for large companies to be able to, and to be able to, they audit the companies, and they just basically they audit the auditors is pretty much what they do, and they keep them all, supposed to keep them all on. It's kind of a checks and balances system, so they keep them all on a really even deal, and they certify these corporations and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with attorneys. It has absolutely nothing to do with an attorneys. And so if you go on and look at the British, it's called British Accreditation Register. You can find this online. Just Google it. Google what that is, and you're going to absolutely find the it's called BAR, BAR. British Accreditation Register is what it's called. And so this is what all these groups have been saying attorneys are part of. In fact, they're not, and they're not part of this whatsoever. Of course, unless they own a big corporation somewhere, and they get ISO certified, their attorneys side of them doesn't reflect that.
Do you know what's really funny about that is that no attorney have I ever heard has ever rebutted an accusation of, or I've never heard them break it down and say, look, man, this is how it really is. They just sit there and look at you like you're crazy.
Well, yeah,
because maybe you are.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
just a little sovereign citizen,
look, folks,
a little too much after 5.
That's right. So just the number one thing if somebody says something to you out here, and they tell you some story, down and literally go look it up. Just go look it up. So
okay, that's fair. And I mean, I think people need to look it up. I mean, this is kind of the thing. Matter of fact, I was talking that our Bible study last night was about that. We were talking about the whole Jesus and the Greek translation and all that stupid stuff. We cleared that up. But anyway, while we were talking about that, it was kind of a tough subject because, people really believe in that stuff, and people really believe in this bar association thing too. And what a letdown that is, to know that like that has nothing to do with anything. And Jordan Maxwell is, just made that up,
Yeah.
And I don't know how many other people have passed that around, myself included. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was one of them too until I decided, one day I'm going to go and I'm going to find out what's really going on here. So, and it was a simple search too. And this is something that, we just want to, because we're just assuming that they do their research on this stuff, and we really want to believe these individuals, but in all reality, they're from somebody else, and then they're passing along as if it's factual and and it's really not, so that's what I'm saying.
That's what we're seeing.
Just be careful. Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah, no, I'm seeing that too. I definitely agree. And, and I mean, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not trying to, and I don't, Carl, I don't want anybody to think that, no, we love attorneys over here on the Tim Damron show on the Monday night show. No. That is not our club at all.
Yeah.
However,
No.
if you're going to throw the stone, make sure it's a good stone. Make sure it's a nice round one that hurts, okay, that flies really good through the air, okay? I mean, don't throw like some little broken tip at them, and hope that because it's not going to hurt them. So, I mean, I'm saying, this bar thing, I'm really glad you cleared that up because I think people really struggle with it. I know I did. I struggled with it for a long time. It was a tough deal. And we thought that we had leverage. I mean, look at how much Crooked David uses that for leverage in his or grooming during his little whatever he does at $25 a head now. Think about that, that's interesting, huh?
Yeah,
it's very interesting. I mean, because they're using it for leverage, but like I said, it just over the years, I've never heard an attorney rebut it. I've never heard it happen. Natasha, do you have any thoughts on this? Oh, there comes Terry. Terry's coming back. Yeah, here comes Terry.
Yeah, no, I was actually looking over the document, and from what I'm understanding, is that so basically they're trying to rebut everything and then say that the lawyers are fake because of this bar situation.
Oh my goodness,
and
the
echo. Yeah.
I know you got like a little Natasha following you around, everything that she's saying. That's rough. You back?
You probably want to turn your radio or TV down.
Yeah, Terry, we need to mute you too because you're having the same speaker withdrawal as well. Everybody else is good. Okay. All right. Awesome. I have to say that, it's in closing. I mean, regarding that subject, that's mind blowing, Carl. So no more British Credit Registry dirty letters sent to the lawyers out there. Stop calling them that. They already know that you don't know what you're talking about. And now we all know that we didn't know what we were talking about back then. So there we are. We're fixed.
Yep.
We are now fixed. We are no longer broken. Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's right.
It's a little humility. It's all right.
And also let me add one other thing to this. When it comes to this whole deal with these people engaged into here. So when it comes to attorneys, we're not really upholding no attorneys whatsoever. As you said before, in fact we never do that because we know what attorneys do. All of us had a run-ins with attorneys that are not truthful. Some of them is not truthful. Some of them are. It just but just use caution with people. In fact, the Supreme Court, one of the things I want to enlighten on was the Supreme Court cases where people have taken this frivolous lawsuit against the public officials and losing and looking really. So they've got cases on there. And I will tell you folks this. You take a frivolous case to a federal court and it's frivolous and it's found out, you could literally be charged for like that.
Yeah, no kidding. And not only that, but they come after you too. They'll come after you for other stuff too.
Oh,
especially if you filed an affidavit with the court that was knowingly nonsense or frivolous.
Yes. Yep.
That's it. Yeah, your life sucks now.
Yeah. In a bad way too.
Definitely. Oh yeah, definitely. You can call all your friends and say, "Hey, my life sucks now. It's official." That's what I did. There you go. Hang up. You're done.
So,
just hanging up.
They sent me down to Mexico because I didn't want to David's paperwork and.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know their feeling. That's crazy stuff. Well, I want to move on to another subject here. So, I like it. I like the way Natasha does it. She always does it good, but it's all right. I'm gonna try to wing it. I'm gonna really try tonight. Anyway, we have the debt and foreclosure class coming up on the 20th and 21st, and tonight was one of the things I wanted to talk about was some of the components of that class. And one of the components of that class that we're going to be talking about is, what is a security agreement, Carl? I mean, people don't get it. I posted a video today on TikTok, and it stated that, we've all seen that FDIC plaque when we walk into our banks. And it says that, every deposit is guaranteed for up to $250,000. And once upon a time, like back in the day, in the 70s, that was like a ceiling full of money. Now today, it's like nothing. It's like a house, right? So how did they loan my friend? Because they didn't loan me anything. How did they loan my friend $450 for a house? How did they do it?
Right.
They did it by performance. They did it using equity. And this is what Crooked David's not teaching you. This is what the boy band clubs out there are not teaching you. And by the way, I don't know how that thing went over with the SNR people, but I got to tell you, man, somebody's stock went way down. I got to tell you, I mean, because I was kind of thinking that Brandon Joe Williams might actually have something together with all this. Maybe there's just a portion of this thing that we're just not understanding. And that wasn't the case at all. I think, right? Would you agree, Carl? I mean, we kind of saw the.
Yes.
As soon as he said he was going to go jump over there with, Kenny from South Park on the SNR page. I mean, because those guys all have a pocket full of stone. They're not doing nothing except getting into trouble. Ugh. Seriously, they even made it to the cop channel. There's a cop channel where it says cops or whatever. It's like modeled after the TV show. They're on TikTok. And one of those, and they always capture the sovereign citizen arrest, so I flipped through the old interwebs to be checking it out. And sure enough, man, State National goes to jail, part 1. I was like, oh, there you go. There you go. And I heard it all, like Jody and McCall. Oh, my car is registered in a private trust. Well, y'all should have let him know that, because he doesn't know.
Right,
no,
exactly, yeah.
It's private, but you're out here in the middle of a public street. See, I know private cars that are in private collections that are behind private walls, and they never come into the public. I mean, how many times have you seen the Knight Rider car driving around in public? You don't.
Oh.
See?
Nope.
Just saying, that which is public is public, and that which is private is private. So sometimes I think they get the roles confused. But anyway, the debt and foreclosure class that we have coming up, this is going to be a killer class. This is all about managing your estate. One of the, I think the biggest weaknesses that we have, once you step into the private is that you have all these people trying to trick you into coming back into the public. This is why we have a travel and driving class, Carl, so we can teach people to stay on this side of the contracting line, and how do we manage that stuff? Well, this next class is another auxiliary class on doing that very same thing. And the principles don't really change, Carl and Natasha. They really don't change much. It's still equity, but it's a matter of balancing that equity and using it properly. It's a matter of using both sides. Okay. Your straw man, powerful. Your straw man, he is not a fraud. I assure you, he is far from a fraud. Your straw man is your heartbeat. It is a small heartbeat of this country. And we have this collective thing, and everybody's kind of stuck together. And this is how we're discharging all this debt. And we're just not getting it. We're just not understanding it, because our parents didn't teach us, Carl, did they? They didn't teach you nothing, did they?
Right. No. Nope.
Did they teach you that stuff? They didn't teach us any of that stuff. And I grew up in a wealthy neighborhood. I grew up in Alamo Heights, Texas. I went to school in Alamo Heights. And there were all kinds of private people around there. I went to school with Red McCombs' kids. No kidding. Those of you guys that are from San Antonio, I went to school with all the gun kids. Or the CEO and I don't know, whatever his assistant is. But they run all the gun dealerships there. I mean, I went to high school with all those guys. These guys were all walking and talking in the private, man. I was watching it. But I wasn't allowed. Once graduation hit, those guys kept working 40 hours a week, but their 40 hours a week produced a whole lot more than my 40 hours a week, But I started seeing them moving in the private. Didn't really understand it. But now that the lights are on, oh, I get it now. Totally get it. That's how I grew up.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Natasha, I noticed you unmuted. What's up? What you got?
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you because most of us back then, all you got was a high school education, and they basically taught you you go to work, you pay taxes. They didn't teach you
Stand
anything
in line.
about debt discharge, how to
Mm,
manage your credit. If you got something bad on your credit, how do you dispute it? You just pretty much like sweep it under the rug and oh, it's fine, and then I'll just go buy something else and hopefully it'll raise my credit score, or get a different credit card and kind of go
yeah.
from there.
Well,
There was nothing.
well,
um
that's an important component of the class because we do definitely talk about how to manage your credit, where you are in your credit, and more importantly, how do we fix it? And we're using principles of equity to do this. We're going to be talking about, the 609 letters, and if you guys don't know what the 609 letters, you guys can Google what those are. And those are available in the class. I actually give those to y'all. So, and I'm a certified credit repair specialist, whatever. I don't know. My ex-wife and I both took the class together. So, and we both got certified together. I have all this stuff. And I'm going to share that with you guys. And more importantly, I'm going to show you guys how to use it. So, you know, um, another thing I'm going to talk about too, Natasha, is like you're in the middle of your construction loan right now,
yeah.
and you're doing stuff, and one of the things that we talked about last week was you going to them and participating and asking them about participating in their bond program, and this is your bid performance and payment bonds that are used to build your house, to fund your house. you know so I'm looking forward to hearing how that conversation goes.
Yeah, that's what I'm going back through the classes with the tax equity and discharge, and listening to it because as we know, you don't just leave us in the dark. You actually, help us out. Give us
I do my
recordings
best.
and all the templates and all that, and of course, I always got questions. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that as well. Oh, speaking of, I did go online to your new website. I have to say it looks really great.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. I've
Yeah,
seen
we've
that
got go
yeah,
ahead.
you have some your December classes are available. I've seen that you have I like especially how like under each one you have the description of that class. That was really nice. Kind of tell me what it's about and different things like that.
Well,
But
we were trying to keep it kind of private and just kind of exclusive to people that knew what they were looking for. But yeah, you were saying we should open the doors a little bit. So it's a little bit more transparent, I guess, or obvious.
yeah,
Whereas before
yeah.
things were kind of like you had to just go in there and find it,
Yeah.
you know.
And for people that want to go there, just go to the House of Y'all Community Outreach.com if anybody's interested in that. And y'all need to set up an appointment with Tim or anything like that for y'all's classes for your pre-interview.
Now, if you put in the webpage, Natasha, and you put in houseofyahcommunityoutreach.com/workshops, that'll take you right
Oh,
to the page where you can actually set an interview up with me. So those of you guys that are interested in taking the classes coming up, and real quick, I'm going to go through the December schedule. On the 3rd and 4th, we're going to have UCC and Trust, which is the foundational class. On the 10th and 11th, we're going to have travel and driving. And on the let's see, the debt and foreclosure class is going to be on the 17th, 18th of December. Tax equity and discharge is going to be on the 19th. We have 3 students that have already signed up for that class, Natasha. So that was that tax equity discharge class. And if you wanted to retake the class, just get with me on that. And then on
absolutely.
the 20th, yeah, I mean, might as well because you got tax time coming up anyway. Oh, and I got a green light on my CPA for you too, by the way. So I'll get his
Oh,
information over to you. Okay.
lovely.
Yeah. So I look forward. That's going to be great. Hopefully you guys come down. We can hang out too. That'll be fun. Anyway, on the 23rd, we're going to have the firm mailing book class. And those of you guys that took that class the last time, it was a fantastic class. Natasha was a huge help in that class. So she'll probably be in this class as well. I encourage you guys sign up for that class. When people
Was
start
it?
talking about common law jurisdiction, you better know what jurisdiction you're actually in. You can't just wish upon a star. You got to actually stand in your square. And you can't stand in your square if you're standing in their jurisdiction. You certainly cannot do that. So these classes are really important, and they really outline I guess, how we actually stay in the private. How do we stay in that administrator position versus being stuck out in the field again, picking strawberries again? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I guess, does that make sense? Or maybe, I don't know. Natasha, you'd always say it better sometimes.
That's okay.
But we do have debt and foreclosure coming up on the 20th and the 21st. And on this class, I'm going to talk to you guys about a lot of things. One of the things we're going to talk about is securitizing notes and securitizing agreements. For example, we're going to talk about your lease contracts. Natasha, you know, you have a creditor debtor relationship there, and you have a contract. And what does that contract do after every month? If you're a renter, what does that do? Performs. It performs every month. And when you have a document that performs, if you know what you're doing and you're watching the backside, if you're really operating in the private, you're going to see an opportunity there to securitize that document. I'm going to show you how to do it. And I've done it. I'm going to show you guys how to start working the backside of all of your purchases. I mean, because that's what they're doing. Every time we go in and we buy something, when they tell you at AT&T, Natasha, that they're giving you 5 free phones for signing up and this and that, what is the first thing you start signing? A bunch of security agreements. And those security agreements tell you that, or obligate you to do what? Not just pay, but more importantly, to perform. And that's how they're able to give you 5 free iPhones, because they're making that on the backside. I'm going to show you how to make that work for you, for those of you that are operating in the private, so that you can make that work for you. Did you know, Natasha, that public debts are also crimes? Did you know that?
No, I don't think I did. Or if I've heard it, I don't remember it or understand it.
I mean, if you think about it, you guys, I mean, you can look up, and Carl, you too. I mean, you think about it. Oh, Carl knows this because he used to be a cop. But you can look up all that stuff. Yeah, never mind. I'm not getting one over on Carl today. Anyway, you know, anytime you do something that's criminal, we all know that it's tax code, right? Anytime anybody does something that's criminal, it's tax code. And more importantly, it's public. Unless it's a judge that's receiving public money in the state of Texas. Those guys can get reprimanded privately and receive public money all in the same day. I don't know how that works, but that was exposed recently in Austin, actually in November. That was quite interesting that happened down there. The Judicial Commission really fell apart over all of the comments and over all of the pleas that were made. I have to tell you publicly, they should be embarrassed. They really should be embarrassed, because, you know, Carl was explaining what the function of what all the bar association is supposed to do and what they're supposed to do and this and this and this. And I'm sitting over here just about to bust out laughing, saying, yeah, well, that's nice and everything, but that's not what they do here. These guys run around playing cowboys and Indians all day. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know if they're coming, they're going. They're all just trying to make it look good on the outside. But the people are waking up. The people are figuring it out. And I don't know how much longer they're going to put up with this, but we'll just see how that goes. You know, but in this debt and foreclosure class, we're going to show you how to put closure to the stuff that's coming into your mailbox. When people step out and they do things they're not supposed to do. What do you do when your contract, you know, your security agreement, those of you guys that have security agreements, look at it. You're going to notice that it has a bunch of writing on it, right? And Natasha, you'll notice that your names are like almost nowhere on that thing. You know what I mean? You'll be like at the top of the page and down at the bottom somewhere in a little place for you to initial, but then everything else is all about them. It all benefits them. And what they're talking about is components of equity, components of sweat equity, of you making those payments, of you doing what you're supposed to do, whatever the security agreement is saying that you need to do. This is what this is all about. And by having that covenant together that says, okay, this is what you're going to do, because that's what you're making. You're making a covenant with them saying, I'm going to make 72 payments at $9.85 a month and da-da-da. And the problem is that we don't know what we're supposed to get. There's a CFR code that says you're entitled to get the note back. So I promise you, I'm not making this stuff up. I'm going to show you guys in this class how to get the note back. I'm going to show you the code that says that they have to give it back to you. And more importantly, if they don't give it back to you, I'm going to show you the remedy for that too. I think it's a good deal. What do you think, Natasha? I mean, I think it's a good deal. I mean, if you can get all of those things and recoup all of those things, then you have a really good chance of operating with a lot more cohesion. Would you get some free stuff? Maybe.
Well, yeah, it kind of I mean, again, going back to how we were raised, we were always taught, again, get a job, balance. You pay your phone, that's $1,200. You pay your card note, that's $30,000, and then you get the title and you got the product, and that's it. Never heard about getting a debt note back or anything like that. And that's, I think, what I had a hard time wrapping my head around is, why would they do that? And, what legalese, allows us to be able to do this, on that sense. So whenever you follow your paperwork and you can get it back, even if it's the 2/3, it's better than nothing,
Oh, it absolutely is. Absolutely is. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because that's what they're doing. They're working both sides. They're working both sides of the game. These big apartment complexes, they're not just taking in rent every month. They're cashing securities. They're converting every single one of those lease contracts. You ever notice when you sign a lease, those of you guys that have, not homeowners and you do apartments and all that, you ever notice how you always get like an actual copy of the lease? It's not like a Xerox copy. You sign a copy and you sign their copy. They sign your copy. You sign their. You ever notice that you both get originals? The reason why is because in order for them to receive that consideration, they have to give you a copy of that original agreement so that you have the opportunity to securitize that motion or that of what you're doing. And you'll see it in Texas that some of the contracts here will say that, there's a component in there that you have to do to file this thing to get it right. And it actually says that, you're not allowed to do that without the owner's permission. And it says that in the lease. And most people wouldn't even realize that, but it's actually in there. In a lot of states, Natasha, they actually have a rebate of sorts. Like renters get to claim their rents that they pay every month, and then they get them back on their state returns. Have you heard of that?
No, I sure haven't.
They're doing that. New Mexico is one of those states. Chicago is another one of those states, and they're doing that. We're going to be talking about how to break that down, not just on the state side, those of you guys that are paying state tax, because here in Texas we don't, but we're going to be talking about how that applies on the federal side. And that's when you really get the cookies done. Okay. You guys want to you guys want to really move in equity, start getting the IRS to move with you. When they start moving with you and you guys start moving in cohesion together, you start noticing that things just start happening, and it's almost magical. But really what it is it's literal. Okay. And this truth that they operate in, it's a two-edged sword. It can work for you, or you can make it work for them. It's really up to you. It really is. And we've been sitting, Natasha, we've been sitting at the seat so long, dormant on this deal. We've missed it. I think we've missed it, the opportunity. Like you said, we get out of high school, kids are getting out of high school today, and they don't even know how to do a tax return. They just don't.
No, I mean, H&R Block or somebody, and you say, here, this is what I made on my W-2. And they say, okay, well, this is what you paid in taxes. If you get a child care credit, well, that's great. And then, and we're just hanging on and saying, ooh, do I have to pay or do I get a little bit of money back? And most of the time is, I don't care if I get $5 back as long as I ain't got to pay.
Right.
That's one of the things
Well,
that I love about your classes is, you teach us to like, if you're using this money, then think about how do you get that money back? Do you get to on your security agreements, whether it be a phone, whether it be your rent,
could be a couch at
anything.
Rent-A-Center,
Yeah, washers and dryers, like your everyday
all that.
living. Yeah, you're doing it so every day and you're not realizing it. So let's, do it to where it makes more sense for, like you said, to make that cycle of money to come back around and get your note back. I mean, who doesn't like to get their money back that they worked hard for,
Well, and that's the whole thing is that what we need to understand, and what I try to teach in this class is that our equity is what really drives these notes. It's what funds these notes. It's by us making those payments, okay? Not the payments themselves getting made, but you actually making the motion to do it. And by you doing that and performing, that's what makes these agreements work, okay? Now, we're also going to see in here where the bank decided they didn't want to perform. We're going to look in here. We're going to talk about a couple of different positions of where you are in your security agreement. We're going to talk about what happens when they're not doing what they're supposed to do. See, they're supposed to service the agreement, but sometimes some of you guys are writing letters and writing, asking them to perform basically, and they're not. And I'm going to tell you the single reason why. Natasha, the reason they're not performing is because they still think you're the borrower. And the borrower sits in that little teeny tiny little box down there, and that's it. He's stuck in the box. And I say this all the time. I say this in class too. This is why they have that 1-800 I'm pissed off number. Yeah. If you're pissed off, call this number. Press 1. If your call is very important to us, we'll be right here. Blah, 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 blah. These people are there to listen to you. I mean, you could tell them about your Aunt Lucy dying and you could, and just go into, I mean, really, I've seen people do it and just go into a whole thing, and you'll see these people are literally trained and conditioned, Natasha and Carl. They're trained and conditioned to get you guys back on the stick, to get you guys back doing what? Performing. That's what they want you to do, is perform. Just like Aerosmith. They just want you to perform. They don't care. And as long as you perform, then that agreement starts becoming more than an agreement. It starts becoming what they call a security agreement, a money security agreement. And what happens is those security agreements start to be worth more money than the actual loan. And we're going to be going through the truth in lending statement. I'm going to be breaking that down too. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I want to add something to that, real what you was talking about there about these the contracts, which is the security agreements and stuff like that. And I will say this much, based on my with especially mortgages, based on my past experiences with them in the mortgage security agreements, that there is. All these things can be picked apart, and literally, if you take one of Tim's the classes there, he's going to show you how to pick these things apart and literally
qualify.
Yes, just disqualify the credit. Yeah, absolutely. So I would urge anybody to take these courses, because having that knowledge by itself, just on that one course alone, is worth its weight in gold. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's
thank you, man.
Yeah. But
one of my students.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to get off here, Tim. I'm gonna go ahead and jump off the call. I gotta get going here. I got a couple other obligations to go, but you guys all take care. Thanks for having me on the show on the call tonight, and hopefully be back with you very soon.
You better. We're gonna come and find you, make fun of you.
That's okay. You wouldn't have very far to go.
So, I know, right?
Missouri.
I got you, man.
All right.
Well, brother, we love you, man. Be good, and prayers for your wife tonight, man. We'll definitely be keeping her in prayer. And have a beautiful night, brother. Thank you for everything. Thanks for being
Absolutely. You too. Thanks.
All right.
Good night, Carl.
So,
Thank you.
I love Carl. I love picking on him too. He's just so much fun. But anyway, these are some of the things that we don't see. Some of you guys out there get hounded by these third-party debt collectors, like Midland Finance. True story. I was actually, and I help people draft legal work all the time, and I had somebody in Houston call me up. Hey, can you, somebody's trying to sue me. It's a third-party debt collector. Can you try to, can you help me in this and that, this. And I said, okay. So I get in there, and of course, I've done this for so many people, and I've done it for so many years that, I have templates. I have everything set up. So, I just go in and just put, because I've been doing it so long, it's really easy for me to do this. Just takes no time at all. A little bit of time, but not much time at all. And I'll get in there and I'll do it. And the funny thing is that it was the same law firm. So literally I did a case for somebody somewhere in Texas. I'm not going to say where. And then literally I'm doing, and I was going in to adjust the security, I can't think of it, the certificate of service. And the certificate of service is what notices the opposing counsel, opposing parties, whatever. And I went in there to go, change the attorney and put, proper attorney in there. And I didn't have to. It was the same attorney group. That just shows you what kind of bottom cesspool these bottom suckers are swimming around and picking up trash everywhere. Oh, it's just terrible. It's terrible. We're going to show you how to beat these guys. Definitely.
Well, also too.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I was going to say also too. You were talking about with the security agreement and how we perform and stuff like that. But can we foreclose on our security agreement if they're not performing?
Yep. Yeah, that little that foreclosure thing works, but okay. So what people will learn in this class is that they're going to learn that the foreclosure door swings both ways. Okay, but you got to know how to push the button, and more importantly, Natasha, you got to know you can't be the borrower. You can't. You just can't. You've got to be the administrator, because the administrator, and I brought this up a second ago, is that one of the limits is that you get stuck in that little box as the borrower. But when you're the administrator, that's a whole nother story. And I'm going to show you where and how you move into that position while you're managing these accounts. I'm going to show you how to move into that position. So that way, when you do, you can ask for anything. And you show up as a non-biased person. Now, who's that? Who is that really? Well, that's what judges do. Judges, Natasha, show up and play the same role. Oh, do they play it well? But they do. They play the same role. They say that we don't have an interest in any of this stuff. When these are their friends that do the fundraisers with them and play golf with them on the weekends, and make trips so they can go cheat on their wives or whatever they're doing. I mean, these guys are all one big old group together, and they may not be part of the British Credit Registry, but they're definitely part of something, and they're all stuck together. So, we have to play that same kind of game that they're playing. Now, is it an honest game? I don't really think so. I think what they're doing is commingling. So I'm going to show you how they've done it, how it works, and so that you can do exactly the same thing. And what we're going to see in the second day, Natasha, is how I did actually use this paperwork, foreclosed on 2 lenders over 4 years, over a 4-year time span. And it didn't take me 4 years, but in 4 years, I had foreclosed on 2 lenders. I paid off, 5 other cars, because I have kids. Paid off 5 other cars, and I had, out of those 5 car loans, 2 of the car loans, they didn't perform. They didn't do what they were supposed to do on both of those banks. And when they didn't do it, I'm going to show you the recourse. I'm going to show you what happened. So that way, you guys will know if this thing really goes to the limit, to the very, very end, you know what to expect. you know how much war paint you're gonna have to put on. And you may have to put on a little, you know. Hey, welcome everybody. You may have to put on a little war paint. You may have to go after these guys. Natasha, we're going to talk about those presentments. Those of you guys that always get stuff from LVN funding and portfolio recovery, and these people, and I told you they're kind of little bottom feeders and they just run around in a cesspool and pick up people's stuff. I'm going to show you how they get your information. I'm going to show you how they purchase your information, okay? Which they actually really don't. But I'm going to show you how they get in touch, how they get a hold of it, and how they come after you. And once you know how they do that, then I'm going to show you how to protect yourself from it. And I'm going to tell you the FDCPA is powerful. It is public law. And if you know how to execute this properly, you can actually walk out at the end of the day pretty good. Natasha, I had a guy, this bank retaliated against me and sent, and I'll talk to you guys about this in the class, but this bank retaliated against me and sent some tow truck driver to my house anyway to try to steal my car, even after I had clear title and everything. And when he did that, it cost them fatally. One, the tow truck driver was arrested and charged, and two, the tow truck company had to pay me $6,000 for showing up on my property. Why? Well, 1,000 of it was because the FDCPA says you're not allowed to use any kind of misleading, fraud, and you can't threaten to take somebody's property when you don't have a right to do it. And they decided to go ahead and try to do it anyway. And because they did, they broke public law. And public law says they owe me $1,000 for it. So that was 1,000 of the 6,000. And you guys take the class and I'll show you how the 5,000 got there. But it definitely happened. Okay. And this is real results, real solutions. This is not, we're not having court in our living rooms here. And I think, Natasha, we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of people, just kind of going from one subject to another subject and, making decisions for the world, it seems like, when, they haven't really put them into motion yet. Am I saying that right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. From what I've gathered, a lot of times is like, everybody sits around and is like, oh, well, we're state nationals. We don't have to follow this law and this and that. We're going to denounce it. And that's the wrong thing to do. That's, you actually need that, like you were talking about, your straw man being your heartbeat. People don't understand. You need it for commerce, to be able to do your business for all that, and I think they're, in a sense, kind of getting mad about it, but there's no reason to get mad about it. Like you said, let's learn how to work the back end, get your notes back, it's all basically your performance, your equity, how to do things right, your presentments, how to keep track with your firm mailing book, and can it be a lot? Sometimes, but once you actually learn all of it, it falls into place and it makes sense, So once you get this set up with your trust, you're like, okay, then what do I do now? How do I spend my money out of it? How do I get my notes back? If for some reason you can't pay your credit card debt, and they, like your third parties, they sit there and they send you a letter, this is, collections, and you still can't pay them. Well, make a presentment back to them. They don't have all the information, and they've already discharged that, but they're trying to double dip. So don't let them, and then, you help people, show them how to clean up their credit. So, I mean, it's just all in all, as far as that. But one of my things is, so what if you have a criminal record? Can you clean that up?
Actually, criminal charges are actually public debts, Natasha. And
okay.
And actually they actually can. Those of you guys that have some old stuff, old convictions, stuff like that on your record, and you want to just get rid of them, maybe this might be your class too. Okay. Now, if you're on parole and they're still watching you, you're still under contract. Okay. And while you're under contract, you can't do nothing but perform. That's really how that works. But once it's done and it's over with, then you're in a position to ask questions. So this is definitely a good class for somebody that wants to maybe go in and clean up their background. You know, if you've got stuff that's old, you know, and it's just been there and it's just there, yeah, let's get rid of it. This is a good class for that. It worked for me, worked very well for me. I had some stuff that happened to me when I was like 19. You know, I was a kid. And I mean, I'm 52 now. It was 30 years ago. It was a long time ago. It's all done and over with. So it wasn't difficult to draft the appropriate letter. And it took me a little bit to figure it out. But after I did and I perfected it, it worked. And this is what I share with the class. So one of the things that I do, Natasha, is that I never teach anything that I haven't done myself. Ever.
Yeah. And that's one of the things is, you know, if I ask you a question, you know, you're like, yeah, let's do this. But not only that, you have the proof, you know, from foreclosures, you have the proof of going private with your trust, and your travel and drive. You know, that's kind of another thing that I really enjoyed about that. I mean, I don't really get stopped a whole bunch, you know, a little speeding ticket, seatbelt ticket, something like that. But the realization of what, you know, the cops do and question and badger and this and another, I don't have to put up with that, you know, and that's one thing that you taught me as far as that, you know. So, I mean, all in all, the classes are just phenomenal and great to learn.
Thank you.
You know, you're welcome. I mean, I have so much fun in them, and I probably shouldn't have that much fun, but I do.
But it's fun to have you in class too, because I mean, yeah, because you come up with some good stuff in class all the time, and I have to say that every time I have you in class, it's I don't know. I think people like to hear. I don't know. You'll ask questions, and it opens the doors for lots of other questions. So those are good things. So that tells me that people are understanding the class and they're getting what they need to get out of the class. So. And
Yeah.
like I said, that class will be coming up on the 21st, on the 20th and 21st, and just coming up this next week. So it'll be a really great class.
Yeah. Did anybody have any questions, YouTube or Facebook or any of that? Or is anybody putting any questions there?
Yeah, if you guys have questions about what we're talking about tonight, if you guys have, you know, somebody else's leftovers and you're trying to figure out how to put it together and you want to just bounce it off us or something, hey man, go ahead and throw it out there, man. And you know, she watches a lot of this stuff. She's out there and she's really listens. Me, I'm really busy working a lot, so I don't have time to really filter everybody's processes and what they're doing and stuff like that. But if you guys have questions about anything like that, anything that I can help you understand what you're doing better, you know, this is a good time to ask. Those of you guys that would like to schedule an appointment with me, super easy to do. Go to houseofyah.communityoutreach.com/workshops. Click on set an appointment with me. It's completely free. Love to meet with you. And I'd love to answer your questions too. You know, if you guys have questions about what's going on, if you guys, those of you guys that are waking up right now and you're kind of experiencing all of this, if this is where you're at, I want to help you. You know, I want to help you get there. So my consultations are absolutely free. You can ask me anything you want. I don't care. I mean, there's some gatekeeping, not really. There's really not too much gatekeeping. I mean, I don't give away class materials and information, too much information, but I will tell you, if you ask me a question, I'll probably answer it. And if you ask me enough questions, you could probably wiggle my whole classes out of all of my classes out of me. But, you know, it's up to you. You know, we really try to just be here for the public so that we can put out a good product, so that we can put out good, you know, verified and proper information that's been tested. And like Natasha said, that I have proof that's been done. This is important. This is important. Otherwise, you're going to end up with just wasting a lot of time and money. And I did that in 2015. I know, right? I'm sure you've taken a few classes here and there that were like, what? What did I take this class for?
Yeah. Yeah, mine is just basically, you know, for people out there, you know, some of my first questions was, what is a state national? What's the big deal about it? You know, should I do this? And at that time, you know, whenever you start learning about the birth certificates and they're selling the stock market and the bonds and this and that and the other, At first it just kind of makes you a little upset as far as like, wow, they're playing, on me and I'm sitting here working and this and that and the other. But then, I was like, so done a little bit deeper dive and, you come across, certain names and you listen to them, but then it kind of goes around in a circle. What about your Sesta V account? Can you get into that? You know, how do you use it to your advantage? So there's just a lot of questions out there that I had personally that I just really didn't understand. And that's when I come across you and you're like, no, don't do this, do that. This is how it really works. Don't get mad, learn how to play the game. If they're double dipping, you do it too. Get your money back. You worked hard for it. But not only that, though, is when you're getting that money back and you have your trust open, you're not only getting your money back, but it's also for your beneficiaries, and then you teach them how to do it,
That's right.
and whenever you have, you need to go buy a brand new car, you touch on the 1099, there's so much out there about that, and then, I think where I learned my most is with equity and performance, and, like Carl was saying, if there's things that you don't understand, get on ChatGPT and type in there, what is performance? What is a security agreement? Google it, and just kind of start, doing that. And, it'll just kind of start making sense, but all in all though, I have to say that I really enjoy your classes. I've learned a lot and I feel confident, going out into the world and, making my stance and enjoying it.
Terry, thank you. That's awesome. Terry and Shell said that Tim always answers the phone and is very gracious as my 5-minute question turns into, lots of minutes. Yeah, like 30 minutes. It's true. It does. But you know what? This isn't about counting minutes and counting crows or counting anything. This is about getting you there and getting you to a place where you have understanding so that you can take care of this, so that you can manage this estate with confidence and understand what you're doing and understand what you're going to get from this each and every time. That's the point of all this. And this is why we do what we do. I got to say, we've had wonderful performance here on, since we've been talking about performance, we've had a lot of performance on TikTok, a lot of folks asking questions, not asking questions, but they're participating. Hold on a second. I got to fix this little piece over here. There we go. Anyway, I want to thank everybody that's here on TikTok, man. If you guys have questions, I mean, we got Patrick's on here. And then I've seen this guy before. He's got kind of an interesting name, and I've seen this picture on my calls before. So, I mean, glad you're here. Glad you made it on the call. There's a whole bunch of us that are on there. We do a lot of stuff here at the House of Yah. Our focus is to focus on our veterans, so all of these classes that we teach, these are fundraisers. Okay. And we help, and it helps support our efforts to help our vets, our homeless vets. Now, I do a lot of legal stuff for them. I draft paperwork for them. We help them get from point A to point B. We help them get their benefits established. If they need to get their disability at 100%, which a lot of times that's what we see with homeless vets, is that, they've just been left on the wayside. This is how we fund the machine to do this. So we do appreciate all of your support. Appreciate everybody. Terry, thank you so much for your comments tonight. I want to thank Patrick for his comments tonight. Everybody that's been involved tonight, actually here on YouTube as well. We're broadcasting on YouTube. So if you look up Timothy Damron, Heiko Vets, you're going to Google any of that. You're going to see me popping up. We'd love to have your input on our videos. Please like and share, as we do appreciate all of you guys so much. I think we really did a great job tonight. I think we closed out and covered a lot of information. Before we do that, hold on. A quick question is, how do we set up an appointment? Very easy. Go to House of Yah, YAH, communityoutreach.com. I know it's long, /workshops. So that's House of Yah, communityoutreach.com /workshops. And then you're going to see a little thing right there. It says 1 hour appointment with me. Click on that, choose a time and a date that works for you, and I'll be there. We can have a meeting on the phone. We can have a meeting through our conference board. It is up to you. So if you're a visual person and you want to do that, once we connect, if we need to move to this other platform, we can. We are happy to do that. And I'm happy to meet you wherever we need to meet you, in your walk. We want to make sure that you're successful. I want to make sure you have an understanding as to what's going on. And all that I have is my experience, and I got a lot of it. I've been doing this since 2015. This changed my life. It changed the way I did everything. And it's because I had understanding. It's because I understood exactly what I was doing, and I was understanding how these things were impacting my future, my beneficiaries, things like that. So I want to thank all of you guys for being here on the call. Natasha, did you have anything you wanted to add tonight before we close out?
No, I just want to thank everybody for having me on. It's always a pleasure to, speak and be here with you.
Yeah, you're so sweet. Well, listen, we'll see you guys next Monday night, 6 p.m. Don't forget, we've got the debt and foreclosure class coming up. If you guys have questions about that, set an appointment with me. houseofyah.communityoutreach.com/workshops. That's houseofyah.communityoutreach.com/workshops. Come on. We'd love to meet with you. We'd love to have you in the class. I think you guys are going to really have some understanding on how this stuff really works. And more importantly, how much money we're letting right through our hands, and we don't even realize it. And this ultimately affects us by paying taxes. If we don't discharge all of this debt, then you know what the IRS does? They just say, hey, can you just give us some more debt notes then? You didn't want to discharge the debt, so you know what? Give us more debt notes instead. I'm going to show you how to stay ahead of that ball, and I'm going to show you how to win, more important. Guys, thank y'all so much for being on the call tonight. Natasha, thank you for being on the call. Terry, thank you for being on the call tonight. And, we just appreciate all of y'all being here. We wish y'all well, and we'll see you guys next week.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.